right, check this out, people. New week, a whole lot of energy, but we're still giving you the exact same subject matter, and that being your Alabama football news, in my own words. Yours truly, Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Happy to have everybody checking us out here on a Monday. Getting that work week started off for you correctly. Check out, we're bringing you the show from the magic city of Birmingham, streaming to you the show on YouTube. Speaking of the channel, go ahead right now, hit that subscribe button. Do it right now. Get your friends to subscribe so that way you can have all that you crave on Crimson Tide football. Be sure to run those likes up as well. Give us that thumbs up there. Run those likes up. Also, turn on all those notifications. Hit that little bell so that way you can have all of your news, notes, alerts, entertainment, every piece of information on your favorite program, that being the Tide. Got you covered also on Facebook and Twitter as well. Guys, shout out my man Jimmy Clay in the building, starting us off with that $75 donation in the Super Chats, showing love, meeting the daily Super Chat goal of $75 by himself. Appreciate Jimmy Clay, and for all of you that are looking to make this your show, your network, your platform, your channel on this evening, let your voice be heard. 205-448-1358. That's the number to dial in right there. Let the passion ooze through. 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. We got an incredible show for you guys this evening. A lot of topics to dive into, and while we'll be joined later on in the show by my man Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, we actually got a live guest right here on set in the studio, my man Patrick P. Money Dowd, the breaking news reporter for TDA. P. Money, what's up, man?
What's going on, man? Always glad to be here. Glad to be I think the first in-person guest you've had. Maybe. I'll take it.
You are the first. You're just sitting so casually there in the chair.
It's quite an honor, and I'm really glad to be here. Always up to talk Alabama football to you, Steven.
Absolutely. We got Patrick P. Money Dowd right here on set here, breaking news reporter for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, and as always, our own John Ivory in the production studio. But we're going to actually get into the first topic of conversation for tonight's show, and that being Coach Saban does it again in the transfer portal. And he tried to tell everybody, if you make it about the portal, it's not going to be fair. I mean, the rich is going to get richer. You're going to have the bigger, badder programs in college football are going to be able to cherry pick and get what they want to get. And here comes Coach Saban again, right after getting the Eli Ricks from LSU, the cornerback, and a number one running back, and Jahmyr Gibbs from Georgia Tech. Over the weekend, Coach Saban pulling out one Jermaine Burton, transfer receiver from Georgia. Big deal. You talk about helping the Bulldogs win its first national championship in 40 years and then dipping out. Win the chip and dip. And this is what Jermaine Burton has done here, coming over from Georgia to the Crimson Tide. And to me, I look at, there are three things that help stem this up, Pat. There are three things, in my opinion, that kind of help stem this up here for the Crimson Tide where Burton is concerned. Number one, you look at the relationship between he and Trayshawn Holden. I mean, Trayshawn Holden from Florida, but played his final year of high school ball in California. Of course, Burton from California. They got the whole DBA, defensive back assassins thing going on. I don't know where it stemmed from. I don't know how it happened. All I know is it's Trayshawn Holden, it's Jermaine Burton, it's a couple of other guys in this DBA family, but you got both of these two guys back together. And talk about having friends. The moment Burton went in the portal, Trayshawn was like, let me holler at you right quick. Let me spit some to you right quick. Talk about this, Pat, how pretty awesome this is.
Yeah, I mean, he was only one phone call away, right? I think that's what Trayshawn Holden tweeted out right after Burton committed. But you know, speaking of the California ties, this kind of takes me back to when I was covering the Heisman Trophy ceremony, and Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud both played their ball in California in high school, and you know, they really put an emphasis on mentioning how proud they were of each other, putting each other up, like making it from California to the Heisman Trophy ceremony, representing their teams. And it's really an interesting camaraderie that those guys kind of have. It's just when compared to other states and other recruits coming from certain states. Like in Alabama, if you're born one way, over one direction, and then the opposite way, I mean, you guys could be butting heads right away. But it really seems like these California guys have a unique relationship with each other, and it worked out. Burton got in touch with Trayshawn Holden. Bryce Young's obviously on the team, also from California. It's not a bad reason to get there.
What's crazy to me, Pat, is you look at Nick Saban's the ultimate recruiter, but for Trayshawn Holden to pull this move, because Burton goes in the portal, Holden talks to him, and then after Burton commits and makes the move, then Holden goes, I told you all he had to do was call me. So if the football aspect doesn't work out for Holden, he could have a career as a coach because he made that move happen.
I mean, that might get tacked on to his NIL deal, right?
Oh, man. I mean, do you pay him? Do you pay him with the more restaurants or the more like how do you work that out, Pat?
Restaurants, money, cars, playing time. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see in this new age of college football.
Gonna be fun to watch that as Trayshawn Holden, Jermaine Burton back together. The DBA boys both playing their high school ball or the final years of their high school ball in California. But number 2 for me, Pat, was Jamison Williams effect, because if you look at it, J-Mo and Burton kind of have a similar story here. With Jamison Williams, starts off at Ohio State, and he's with Chris Olave. He's with Garrett Wilson. He's with a ton of other receivers. And for a lot of Buckeye fans, it was, well, J-Mo's not going to get on the field because we're just too deep in this receiver room, too deep, too much talent, too many guys in here. And Jamison wasn't getting the targets, wasn't getting the looks that he would have liked to have gotten. He makes the move to come to Alabama, and people are like, oh my gosh, how did Ohio State let this guy get away? Like, whoa, like he goes from being the 3rd or the 4th option at Ohio State to Alabama, explodes and is the most explosive receiver in college football, and even with an injury he suffered in the national championship game, you still have draft pundits mocking him as a first-round pick. And where Jermaine Burton is concerned, kind of the same deal with Stetson Bennett. He wasn't getting the targets, and Georgia looking more so at Brock Bowers, A.D. Mitchell, and other guys. But Burton did finish this past season number 2 behind Brock Bowers in receptions. Could Burton have a year similar to Jamison Williams? Is this the Jamison Williams effect to you?
I mean, Jamison Williams may be one of the best transfer receivers ever, just based off his success this past year. And even though Burton was the second leader in receptions for Georgia, the stats are a bit misleading because of Brock Bowers. His lead on the stat sheet was just substantial. But Burton, I think that's the plan, isn't it, to come in and have that kind of Jamison Williams impact? And I think Alabama, much like last year, needs a little bit of a boost in that receiver core. With they still have a lot of young guys there. J.I. Hall, excuse me. I mean, I'm sure he'll get on me for that one. But Hall, Trayshawn Holden, JoJo Earle, another one of your favorites there. But those guys, they saw some playing time last year, but not a ton of meaningful snaps throughout the season. And Burton's someone who will definitely help in that regard.
He comes with a lot of experience, Pat, and it's something that you just brought in here. One of the things Coach Saban enjoys doing, if he is to pursue the portal, he wants to get players in that have marquee experience, especially in the SEC. Burton playing at Georgia for 2 years. 53 catches, near 1,000 yards receiving, 901, 8 touchdowns. That does mean something. And just because we did not see him at Georgia really flash burning type of speed does not mean he does not have it. He could come in here and really flash some burners, really flash some speed, really flash a lot of that breakaway acceleration, if you will. My thing is going to be, where does he fit in the offense, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be some work to fit. I mean, they have a whole offseason to figure it out, but I think he's gonna be. I mean, he's got the makeup to be in that similar kind of Jamison Williams type role. I mean, he's a really explosive receiver. I think he averaged 19 yards per reception, which is exactly the kind of thing that Alabama is going to need to replace with Williams being gone, and even someone like John Mechie out of the picture now. So I think that could be the sort of ideal kind of role, the change of pace kind of guy that Nick Saban always loves to have.
And one of the things that I've had that Saban always, and he's kind of meticulous in doing this. He looks into the portal and he thinks, okay, what do we need? can this be a fit? Does this fit what we're trying to do? And is this a person that could come into this team and mesh and gel and bond? And just seeing how so many players were for Jermaine Burton coming in here. I thought that was the big thing. So many players were for this move happening. So he could potentially have that Jameson Williams type of season. Just going to be fun to watch in spring ball. Where does he fit in this offense? Is he a slot guy? Is he at the top of the formation? Is he at the bottom of the formation? That's going to be fun right there. But I think that at number 3, Pat, the biggest thing for me is the opportunity to play with Bryce Young. I mean, Stetson Bennett, good, but when you look at a guy in Bryce Young to where reigning Heisman Trophy winner, reigning SEC Offensive Player of the Year, reigning AP Player of the Year, consensus All-American, whatever accolade you want to throw out there, Bryce Young either took it this past season or was right there in the running for that. Single season passing marks, the whole 9, Bryce Young has that, and he has just the mentality of distributing the ball to everybody, and Burton's thinking, if I can play with this cat, seeing what he did with Jameson Williams, seeing the numbers he helped John Mechie put up pre-injury, if I can play with this cat, if I can have this dude throw me the football, oh my gosh, the astronomical production I can put up here.
Yeah, again, just looking at Jameson Williams last year and what he was able to do, but you know, I mean, it really is. It's free agency now, isn't it? And when you look in the NFL with all the receivers, you know, part of the reason why they leave their teams is, one, money. Is there going to be a bigger opportunity to make their Alabama is one of the premier NIL spots as of right now, just because of their success over the course of the years and how much money is getting put into that program. So you're going to make a lot of money in terms of NIL. And the second reason why a receiver changes teams, quarterback play. And there's no better quarterback in the country right now, maybe, than Bryce Young going into next season. So, I mean, it really is kind of like what Nick Saban said, it's trending more toward free agency. And, I mean, look, Burton could argue he was underutilized in terms of targets at Georgia, but that's going to change if he goes to Alabama, being their most experienced guy going into next year.
It's so crazy. We're watching these NFL games yesterday, these playoff games in the quarterback position, how big it is, watching Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford going down the wire, watching the Chiefs-Bills game last night with Mahomes and Josh Allen, and now transitioning back into the college game with as good as Stetson Bennett was a season ago for Georgia, helping that team to a national championship. You look at Jermaine Burton thinking, I get a chance to play with the Heisman Trophy winner, what my numbers could potentially be in the upcoming season. It's going to be fun to watch this spring.
Yeah, and speaking again going back to those NFL games, I mean, with all these great quarterbacks, I mean, look at Josh Allen yesterday. He threw 4 touchdowns to Gabriel Davis. Stephon Diggs is their 1, but Gabriel Davis absolutely went off.
It's like they're 3.
So, yeah, he had 3 or 4 touchdowns, but, I mean, when it comes to these great quarterbacks, it really, you know, doesn't matter how many stars are next to your name or how much money you make. I mean, they can have you make plays to get you that kind of money later on down the line. So, I mean, pairing up with Bryce Young is not a bad idea for anyone.
That'd be one for Jermaine Burton, getting this chance to help out here with Bryce Young and this Alabama team. Well, folks, we're going to go to a break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. Just getting started. When we get back, we go on the phone lines. We get your calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your interactions. You're rocking and rolling within my own words. Yours truly, Stephen M. Smith. Got the man Patrick P. Money Down sitting here with us. We'll be back after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up.
This is Matt Caddell, former Alabama wide receiver, and you're listening to In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith with Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And I got 2 words to say, baby. Roll Tide.
Nine players have teamed up and released the Alabama Team Paper, which is a video yearbook they've put out for sale direct to fans. Now, for the first time, small dollar purchases from the fans can support the players as a group as well as a great cause, because $1 of every subscription payment is donated to the Boys and Girls Club of America. Be a 5-star fan base and support your team and a great cause with Team Paper. Check it out at teampaper.com/Alabama.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit Emily'sHeirloomPoundCakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at Emily'sHeirloomPoundCakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
And we are back into the action from the break of a number one form for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Monday. Getting that work week started off for you correctly. We got some super chats to get to, or one super chat to get to. We got Jimmy Clay again this time with a $50 donation coming in here from my man Jimmy Cashman. Drop it in the bucket, Clay. Showing some love here to us on this show. But right now we go to the phone lines to take your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. Number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. We grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Well, Stephen, I'm back there. I want to appreciate all the prayers y'all said up for my aunt there, her husband. So, I'm back in the state of Alabama. I was in Scottsdale, Arizona when she called me on Thursday night, and I had to get a plane back here. So she needs her prayers, everybody. So everybody remember her tonight. And you got P Money there with you, and you got, Lord have mercy, there's 170 people in the chat tonight. Whew. I tell you what, I'm going to take my jacket off. I'm getting hot here a little bit. But anyway, there, everybody's looking good in the Blue Wrench Gang. Like I said, the chat 151 there looking good. All the donations, the calls, everybody that calls in this show and leaves their opinions, and especially me. Can't nobody be no more damn critical on Alabama than I am. So, I mean, that's just, I've always been that way, and I'm going to be that way, I guess, to the day I leave this earth. So you just have to overlook me sometimes. I get a little bit bent out of shape. But anyway, there, Stephen, give me some good news. These receivers, they gonna pan out, or is there what we gonna do if they don't, or are they? I think they are, aren't they?
I think they are, Wayne, and that's why this spring is going to be so much fun to see. Where does Burton fit in here? Who wins that slot position with Slade Bolden gone? Who's going to be who will be the starting three receivers? That's going to be fun to watch. Who is going to end up being your starting three receivers? Who is going to be probably some guys that will get worked into the rotation? And who may be a freshman that surprises us? Because there's always been that freshman, whether it was Julio Jones, Amari Cooper, Calvin Ridley, there's always been that freshman that pops out and surprises you. So who could be that freshman in spring ball this March, April? Going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. And once again, everybody, I appreciate all the prayers and stuff. Keep my aunt in your memories there. She's getting better, and she will in time. I see all that. I appreciate it. But I'm going to get out of here. Y'all have a good show. I'll be listening in. I'll catch y'all again on Wednesday. Hopefully, if not, I'll be back on Friday, and we'll continue on with this wonderful show we have 3 days a week. Thank the good Lord for it. I'll see y'all later. I love all of you. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Appreciate Waylon there calling into the show. Absolutely. Continue the prayers there for Waylon and his family on this end. But we take this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you're calling from.
Stephen M. Smith, this is Justin Riley. What is going on Monday?
Justin, doing fantastic, man, and yourself?
Man, I tell you what, we're coming off a pretty exciting weekend. I'm sitting there on Saturday, watching these NFL games, and then also watching the comeback victory for Alabama basketball over Missouri. And then all of a sudden, we hear Jermaine Burton is headed to T-Town, and I didn't want to believe it at first just because I thought we were stacked at wide receiver and we had everything we needed. But as I begin to look more at it, I'm really excited. This is a guy who's going to be a coach's and a teammate's dream. And what I love about him, he has the strength to get off the press, which is something that we had some problems with some of the guys in the wide receiver room this year. He uses his body to create separation. He can bully corners. This is a guy who plays with a chip on his shoulder and can be a straight dog. But also, we were talking about earlier, Where is he going to line up? Well, the good thing about him is he can line up anywhere on the field. And you look at Stetson Bennett. My analogy is, why settle for hamburger when you could have steak? Well, Jermaine is going from Whataburger to Ruth Chris. That's the way I see things right now. And this is a guy who's going to bring a lot of energy, not only to the wide receiver room, but the team as a whole. And they're going to feed off of him. And I just think it's a great get for Alabama.
I think it's a fantastic get, Justin. And for me, I was kind of concerned because what a lot of the reports were saying, or a lot of the rumors were saying, was if Alabama was to have brought in Burton, it would be a package deal with Burton and JT Daniels. A lot of people were thinking that both would come to whatever program they would choose together. So the fact that you had multiple Alabama players led by, of course, Trayshawn Holden, to be able to pull Burton away from JT Daniels, just be able to bring Jermaine Burton to the Crimson Tide. I thought that was a huge deal. And not only is he athletic, but really good blocker. Appreciate Justin Riley there for that call out of Mississippi right there. Appreciate that. We continue with calls here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hi, Stephen. Bill from New York. How you doing, brother?
Doing great, Bill, and yourself?
Well, I happen to be a Buffalo Bills fan, so I was a little bummed out, yesterday. But
it hurts, man, Bill. It hurts.
Yeah, Josh Allen is just beyond belief. It's one of the most talented guys I ever seen. He's got as much talent, as far as I'm concerned, as John Elway had. But anyway, that's over. But the game itself taught me something. It's really something that I already knew. Pro football and college football is kind of like the arena league now, in terms of offense matters the most. You can have all the defense you want, and don't get me wrong, I love defense. I'm old school, but offense, it's an offensive game right now. So my thing is, the Bills, we added a running back who I don't know anything about, but I'm hearing he's great, and now a receiver. That's what we need. Now, if we could tighten up that offensive line, Stephen, I think we're unbeatable. I think we're unbeatable, and we're just going to crush all these fools that we play, like game after game, going to hurt them. I'd like to see a little more on the defensive line. You know what I mean? We talked about this. I want more push up the middle. But I couldn't be much happier with the way things are going now. And let's see what's going on the offensive line. Are you hearing anything about Brockemeyer? Because I don't remember seeing him at all. Like, is he going to be able to step in? In terms of size, he's a little smaller than Latham. I don't know. Is he more agile? I don't know. Do you have any info you could give us on that guy?
Well, on Brockemeyer right now, Tommy Brockemeyer didn't play much this past season. I think this spring, and I've said this several times, this spring is pivotal because we're going to get a chance to see if he and Latham can take both of these two offensive tackle spots. Now, Alabama also has Amari Kite that can play at tackle. It brought back Kendall Randolph, who could be on the offensive line. But when you bring in a massive haul of linemen in the 2021 class led by Latham and Brockemeyer, it is time to see both of these two potentially win these offensive tackle spots. So that's why, Bill, this spring is so pivotal. Absolutely. Appreciate my man Bill from New York there with that call into the show. And that's why I am pumped about the spring, because I want to see the offensive line. That's number one. I want to see the defensive line. That's number two. When you look at guys like Tim Smith and Damon Payne, can he get in there? Can DJ Dale show some big improvement? Is it time for Tim Keenan III to really jump in there and do some things? I'm really excited to see this defensive line, this offensive line, and this group here at receiver. Also this group at running back, because Alabama stacked at running back again. But gotta shout out my man Bill from New York with that $5 donation, helping us out here on the show. Appreciate the love there coming from Bill. But spring ball, I'm all about spring ball. March, April cannot get here fast enough. Continue to get your thoughts in. 205-448-1358. Number to call in to get your voice be heard. 205-448-1358. Speaking of the NFL, an former Alabama player that played in the NFL is quickly becoming the most sought-after young coach in the game, and that's DeMeco Ryans. DeMeco Ryans from Bessemer, here in the Birmingham area. This was somebody that came to Alabama when Alabama wasn't popular at the time, under Coach Schumer. And DeMeco, one of the greatest, instinctive, dominant, highly intelligent linebackers to have a play here. But not only just that, one of the most incredible student athletes in terms of the student aspect to ever come from this program. And just what he is doing as a coach for the 49ers, working his way up from a quality control coach to linebackers coach to defensive coordinator, incredible. He goes up against the heavily favored Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. People got the Packers winning this game by 21? And DeMeco Ryans had this defense shut Green Bay down. Aaron Rodgers had his worst QBR of a season against DeMeco Ryans in that 49er defense. Packers could only score 13 points. 10. They can only score 10 points. They can only score 10 points against the 49ers. And what a job by DeMeco Ryans, coaching that group defensively to shut down a prolific quarterback, shut down a prolific offense, and a heavily favored Packer team to win 13-10. 49ers moving on here to the NFC Championship game. And folks, I'm just saying, DeMeco is already interviewed for a few of these head coaching vacancies in the NFL already, in particular the Minnesota Vikings job. But I would love at some point he finds his way back to Tuscaloosa as a coach. At some point, whether he becomes the guy to take over when Coach Saban decides to hang it up, whether he becomes the guy to at some point come and coach this Alabama defense. It doesn't matter where he has to serve. It doesn't matter where he has to serve in capacity in this program. To have that type of mind, that type of legend, that type of leader, that type of individual back in Tuscaloosa in some type of a coaching capacity, would really like to see that. Because DeMeco, the player, DeMeco, the student, incredible. But DeMeco Ryans, the coach, and the ability to relate to these young men and get the best out of them and create a defense that just shut Aaron Rodgers and the Packers down like that, to get that back in Tuscaloosa, boy, oh boy, how awesome would that be? But folks, we're going to go to a break right here on the show. Don't touch that dial. When we get back, we sit down with my man Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine. Is the Crimson Tide making a full court press for Arch Manning at quarterback? We get it from Justin right after this.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your four-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters.
Look at all these great players in Touchdown Alabama magazine. Man, wait till I turn up this year. I'm gonna be on the front cover. But what if Will goes off? Or Joe, DeMarco, Chris, Tim, Christian.
Don't wait. Order now at touchdownalabama.com or call 833-483-2000.
2624 today.
Christian or Jermaine.
Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
All right, folks, we're back in from the break on a Monday, getting that work week started off for you correctly. Number one form, hottest show on the streets, talking your Crimson Tide. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. We got over 200 people in the live chat, but let's get those likes up. Let's run those likes up. Give us that thumbs up on the show. Run those likes up. Make this your show, your network, your channel, your platform, your space to talk Alabama football. You feeling the content? You feeling what's being put out? Definitely give us that thumbs up right there. But we go to the In My Own Words hotline. We pick up the legend on the ground in recruiting, none other than our own Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA. Justin, man, what's going on?
A lot's going on right now, Stephen, with the amount of recruiting things that are going on in terms of all these updates after a big recruiting weekend for the Crimson Tide. So just excited to be on with you to talk about all of it.
Absolutely. Big recruiting weekend. Absolutely correct. And we got Justin Smith on the phone lines right here, Touchdown Alabama Magazine here on a Monday. So, Justin, first things first, Alabama making this full court press at the offspring of football royalty, that being Arch Manning, 2023 quarterback, pro-style quarterback here, and Nick Saban, Pete Golding, Bill O'Brien, all were at Manning's basketball game. Not just the head coach. You had the head coach, the offensive coordinator, and the defensive coordinator, all three going all in on, we're going to be at this game to watch Arch Manning and put up a good united front on. We got to try to go after this young man. We got to try to get this guy to Tuscaloosa. Justin, from what you saw over the weekend with all three coaches doing this and the videos that have surfaced here on social media, how much of a priority now has Arch Manning become to Alabama?
Yeah, he's always been a priority throughout this 2023 recruiting class. Basically, during the 2022 recruiting cycle, Arch Manning, it was pretty clear that he was going to be Alabama's top quarterback target in this class. He's going to continue to be that, and that is why Nick Saban, Bill O'Brien, and Pete Golding went out to see his basketball game. And I think that means a lot. And I think it naturally just shows how interested they are in Arch Manning, with all three of them showing up. I don't think I've ever seen the two top coordinators on Alabama's coaching staff and Nick Saban go on recruiting trips together, no matter if it's a game or just to see a recruit at their home. And I think it's a unique situation because Pete Golding is playing a role in the Crimson Tide recruiting Arch Manning because he is from Louisiana, and Pete Golding recruits the state of Louisiana. And, of course, Bill O'Brien, being the Crimson Tide's offensive coordinator, he's going to have to sell Arch Manning on the Crimson Tide's offensive scheme. You also have you're always going to have Nick Saban heavily involved, and when Nick Saban is involved with any recruit, as far as going out to see him at his school or at a basketball game, you know that the Crimson Tide really want to see that guy in the Alabama uniform in the future. But it's going to be hard and difficult for the Crimson Tide to lock up a commitment from Arch Manning in the future for sure. They're definitely going to battle it out with some top programs, including the team that they compete against in the national championship in the Georgia Bulldogs. And the Bulldogs are on their road. They got some momentum because they did capture a national championship, and Kirby Smart and his whole offensive staff was at one of Arch's games earlier in the week. So it's going to be a tough battle for Arch Manning moving forward, but the Crimson Tide are in a great position. It's going to be a battle to the end, and it's going to be a recruitment to definitely pay attention to. A lot of excitement is around it, and a lot of hype is around it, and it is deserving so.
Arch Manning's got his list of Georgia, Alabama, Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, Texas, Clemson making up that list there for one Archman. And we got our own Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine, joining us here on the phone lines on a Monday. So, Justin, in terms of this being a week where you're going to get some visits, you're going to get junior days, a lot of scholarship offers, a lot of offers being handed out to specific players, kind of break down this week here for Alabama in terms of how many offers could be handed out, who are going to be some guys that can get those offers when you look at the 2023 recruiting cycle here.
Well, this is going to be a big recruiting weekend for out-of-state recruits. Actually, the Crimson Tide hosted basically a junior day for their top in-state recruits on last weekend. A lot of the top in-state prospects in the 2023, 2024, and even the 2025 recruiting class were at the University of Alabama for their particular, I guess you could say a really unofficial junior day. And when you just take a look at some of the guys who got offers, you had 6 guys from inside the state of Alabama get offers on the same day. I don't think I've seen that since I've been covering recruiting. I think that just points to the fact that the state of Alabama is continuing to pump out a lot of talent. And I know a lot of people are just blown away by how loaded the state is in the 2023 recruiting class, but the state is set to be loaded like that for the next couple of recruiting classes. Just when you take a look at some of the guys who are getting offers from the Crimson Tide right now, including a freshman running back in Anthony Rogers out of Pike Road High School in Pike Road, Alabama. For those of you who have been watching Touchdown Alabama and been following along with us for the last couple of months, you saw that we highlighted Anthony Rogers a couple of times, even did a quick video on him when we saw him in action earlier in the year. He's a really dynamic freshman running back. So the Crimson Tide had an opportunity to host a lot of in-state guys last weekend. They will have an opportunity to host a lot of out-of-state guys this weekend, including 5-star defensive end Notre Dame commit Keon Keeley. He's a physical outside linebacker who will most likely be the edge rusher at the next level if he was to choose to possibly flip his commitment from Notre Dame to the Crimson Tide in the future. Is going to be the first step in Alabama possibly doing that this weekend. You also have a guy like 5-star outside linebacker who was originally from IMG Academy. One of those guys is heading out to Alabama this weekend as well, along with Makari Vickers, a 4-star defensive back. Another in-state kid who did not go to the campus on last weekend, and Kobe Keenum out of Mars Hill Bible School in Florence, Alabama. He's a guy I would keep my eyes on in terms of a in-state kid who could possibly get an offer this weekend. But I feel it's going to be another big offer weekend for the Crimson Tide with those guys coming in. And the IMG Academy product guy is Malik Bryant. But just looking at all those guys coming in, I think we're going to see another influx of big-time guys getting new offers from the Crimson Tide. A lot of guys establishing their relationship with Alabama's coaching staff as well.
So when you look at now, Justin, before we even discuss Jermaine Burton here, a lot of fans I've been talking about the offensive and defensive line for Alabama going into the spring, and wanting to ask you, especially starting off with the offensive line, you covered the massive haul of linemen Alabama brought in 2021, led by J.C. Latham and Tommy Brockermeyer. You've also done a tremendous job covering the defensive guys that they came in with Tim Keenan III, Damon Payne, also Anquin Barnes, among others. Coming up this spring, could you see any of these young guys, or maybe a freshman or two, really step up and do some things on the offensive line and on the defensive line for Alabama starting the spring?
I think the defensive line is a pretty interesting group because I think it's most likely going to be veteran led. It's going to be interesting to see if one of those guys can possibly carve out a spot in the rotation. I know as far as an early enrollee, a guy I would pay attention to would be Curtis Perry, a 4-star defensive end out of Pike Road High School in Pike Road. I think he's a really explosive athlete, a guy who has impressive quickness, has decent size. I think he's going to continue to grow as a player. But as far as an early enrollee, who guy could possibly make an early impact as far as his spring on the defensive line, I would look more so towards a guy like Curtis Perry. As far as the offensive line, with that massive offensive line class that they pulled in the 2021 recruiting cycle, that historical offensive line class, when you talk about J.C. Latham and Tommy Brockermeyer, the Brockermeyer brothers, of course, Tommy Ferguson as well. But just looking back at that recruiting class and seeing if one of those guys would possibly make a jump, if I had to basically throw out my opinion or make a guess about who could possibly make the biggest impact this spring, I most likely lean towards J.C. Latham just based off the playing time that he did get this past season. We did see him get more playing time than guys like Tommy Brockenmeyer. So I think J.C. Latham is a bit more ahead of the curve, which is something that we have heard, I think, ever since those guys got on campus, that J.C. Latham was a little bit more ready. And I felt that even when he was coming out of IMG Academy, I think he was the most college-ready offensive lineman that they got in that particular recruiting class. But a guy I think I bring up a lot in terms of an early enrollee on the offensive line, I'll point towards Tyler Booker as a guy who could make his way into that rotation to be an early enrollee who can make an impact on the offensive side of football. But a lot of those positions are going to be up for grabs. I know you have some veteran guys like Kendall Randolph coming back, but just taking a look at some of those younger guys from the historical class, you have Tyler Booker coming in, Elijah Pritchett, another guy who could be a five-star offensive lineman type of talent coming in during the summer. I think there's going to be a lot of competition across that offensive line. But I think on the defensive line, as far as the defensive line is concerned, I think you're going to have to see some young guys possibly carve their way into the rotation, because I think that is going to be pretty veteran-led.
We've got Justin Smith here on the phone lines, folks. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Monday, getting some recruiting talk in. So, Justin, now for Jermaine Burton coming over from Georgia via the transfer portal to the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. You cover all of these receivers in the slot here, when you look at JoJo Earl, Christian Leary, Aaron Anderson, Kobe Prentice, all of these guys battling for that slot position. Jermaine Burton could be a slot guy, but he could also be at the top of the formation at X, battling with Trayshawn Holden or a J.I. Hall. He could be at the bottom of the formation at Z, battling with Trayshawn Holden and Ja'Cory Brooks. It's just, where do you see Jermaine Burton fitting in here, in your opinion, when you look at competing against some veteran guys, but also some young guys with a whole bunch of talent, particularly in the slot? Where do you see Jermaine Burton fitting in?
I think that's going to be a big question heading into the spring. I mean, when you look at his frame, he has the frame of slot with him standing at 6 foot and weighing 200 pounds, so he definitely has that frame. He has that speed. He's a tough wide receiver. You go back and look at some of the things that he was able to do in Georgia. The thing that really stands out to me is his ability to make those tough catches. I know that he did not have the best quarterback play when he was at Georgia, but he still was able to make some big plays, and he was a guy that you were going to be afraid of if you were facing Georgia. Although they did not have the best quarterback, you knew this guy was going to be a dynamic on wide receiver if he was healthy. And I think this is a significant, huge get for the Crimson Tide. Like all of you know, I think it just points to the fact how crazy the transfer portal is. Now you're going to get guys at this caliber transferring from just like Jameson Williams did, transferring from the school who they played against in the national championship, transferring to that school. So I think that is just really interesting, just points to how crazy and how this is the new norm for the transfer portal. But I think the door is wide open for Jermaine Burton to play at any position in Alabama's offense at that wide receiver position. Maybe they can use him at the slot if they feel that he is best fit to serve there, but maybe they will move him around to possibly put some more speed on that field when you look at that slot wide receiver position, because Burton is bringing a lot of speed to Alabama's wide receiver room. When you just take a look at all of the guys who will eventually join the Crimson Tide's roster in the spring and in the summer at the wide receiver position, you are going to see some next-level speed with guys like Aaron Anderson, Isaiah Bond, and also looking at Kobe Prentice. All those guys have fantastic speed, and they're going to be really exciting to watch on the next level. So I think the door is wide open. Jermaine Burton could be at any position, at the wide receiver position, maybe at the slot. But I think, in my opinion, I think the Crimson Tide may not use him at the slot just to get more speed on the field.
He's Justin Smith, people, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, coming on here on a Monday, giving us the lowdown on the Crimson Tide on the recruiting front, whether it's Arch Manning, 2023 pro-style quarterback, or just the 2023 recruiting cycle in general. If you haven't done so, be sure to check out Justin's show every Tuesday and Thursday. The Process on YouTube, TDA's YouTube channel, every Tuesday and Thursday. Justin does a phenomenal job breaking down these young men from every aspect, every note, every piece of film, every scouting. He is at these games. He is crafting these relationships with these young men. Just awesome to see a guy at work doing the craft down there on the field, and that's something that Justin takes a lot of joy in. So, my man, appreciate you coming on. Be safe. Stay good, Justin.
You do the same. You want Pat Steven?
Absolutely. Justin Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine, joining us here on the show, breaking down recruiting. And it is crazy. You got Jameson Williams, who, of course, Alabama beat Ohio State in the 2020, one national championship game off the 2020 season. Jameson Williams comes to Alabama. And then, even though Georgia getting the win over Alabama in this recent championship game, here comes Jermaine Burton coming to Alabama from Georgia. So that just tells you Alabama is the needle in college football, and it will continue to be that needle with Coach Saban at the helm. But we take a break here, folks, from the show. Don't touch that down. When we get back, it returns to you, the Tide Nation, your phone calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your interactions. We're coming back to you right after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com now to get your four-finger bling necklace.
This is Chris Rogers, 2009 national champion. You are listening to the baddest, when I say the baddest, sports show in the state of Alabama. In my own words, yours truly, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Don't touch that dial.
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwill Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to WhitwillSports.com and get your Title Towel today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
As we're back into the action here from the break on a Monday, In My Own Words, yours truly, Stephen Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. John, you wonder why I enjoyed the show? I enjoyed this show because not only are we getting the opportunity to talk Crimson Tide football, but we have fans that engage us in so many ways. Whether it's National Geographic stuff or whether it's talking about great food. I mean, I was looking at the chat during the break. We're talking about pickled pig feet and barbecue and whole ham hocks and man, I mean, we got some great fans, great family right here. We could have a conversation about anything, and it centers around laughter, it centers around fun, it centers around Alabama football, and you can even throw some really good food into the mix as well. So keep the conversation going there, fans, in that YouTube chat line there. But we go to check out some super chats right here, and so we got Jimmy Clay again with a $25 donation. Appreciate the love there coming from Jimmy Clay, helping us out here on the show. And then we got my man Waylon, President Waylon, with that $4.99 in the super chats. Appreciate El Presidente Waylon. And then Jimmy Batman Pimp Money Clay again with 501 this time in the Super Chat. So appreciate all of you showing love, making this your network, your show, your platform, your space to talk Crimson Tide football. We go to the phone lines to grab your calls. The call segment brought to you by the Blue Ridge Gang, 205-448-1358, 205-448-1358. The number right there. We grab this call. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hello?
You're live on the show.
My name is Javian.
Hey, Javian, how we feeling?
Good.
What's on your mind?
So, as we get Jermaine Burton on the team, who do you think our starting 3 wide receivers will be and where they will be placed?
Good question. So, receivers, with getting Jermaine Burton, that's a good question. I like Christian Leary in the slot. I like Ja'Cory Brooks at the bottom. And then at the top, we may have to flip a coin between Holden and Burton. But I like Leary in the slot. I like Brooks at the bottom. And a battle between Holden and Burton at the top. But it's going to be fun this spring, JV. It's going to be fun. Appreciate my man Javian for that call right there. Gotta enjoy the kids, man. The kids calling in, wanting to know about football. I enjoy that right there. We grab this call. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling tonight? State your name and where you calling from.
Curtis Higgins from Mississippi.
What's happening with you, man?
Man, we just steady loading up, ain't we, on them players. They just love Alabama.
I mean, they do, man. I mean, you look. I mean, they do. I mean, you go back to Jamison Williams transfers in from Ohio State. You got Jermaine Burton, who just won a title for Georgia, but wants to get more numbers to his name and probably go back-to-back rings. So he decides to come to Alabama.
What I want to see this year, I'm hoping to see my man Jai Hall. I would love to see him. That dude got talent.
He's got talent, and we saw him in the national championship game. Yes, he dropped some passes, but he did catch 2 passes, and he owned up to it. So I want to see him this spring.
I do too. I just love it. I just think he's gonna be a big addition to the Tide.
I think he's gonna be a good playmaker to Alabama, especially now in year 2. Appreciate that call right there, coming from my man out of Mississippi. We grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Roll Tide. This is Tide Man, checking in from Jackson, Mississippi.
Tide Man, what's going on with you, brother?
Man, I'm doing well, brother. Good to hear you as always on the show. Forgive me if you haven't talked about this or mentioned it already, but what is the status of Bill O'Brien? Is he coming back next year, or is he going to take a job in the NFL somewhere?
It looks like from right now he's staying, because he was out there on the trail with Coach Saban and Pete Golden, putting that full court press on Arch Manning. So right now it looks like O'Brien's staying.
Okay. Well, I also wanted to ask you if you have any insights on how Brian Robinson is doing, how he's feeling. And here's why I ask, because if I'm him, and I hate to bring up something negative, but if I'm him, I'm absolutely livid. To spend 5 years there at Alabama, investing in the process in every way, shape, or form, patiently waiting for your time to shine, and then when you are shining in the third quarter, in the national championship, and they decide to finally start feeding you the ball, and you're getting yards, and you're chewing up yardage, and then they just take the ball out of your hands, and the drive fizzles, and you don't see more from hardly the rest of the game. I would just be – I'm sure he's a young man with tremendous character for him to even stay there for 5 years, but I just feel for that guy, because I'm like, I would be incensed. I would be – because, he did everything the right way. And then we're finally blocking for him. He's getting the yardage. And then our offensive coordinator takes the ball out of his hands. Now I'm hoping Bill O'Brien and Nick Saban, I hope maybe Nick Saban will give him an old-fashioned you-know-what chewing and maybe keep him around, and he'll learn from this season. But I don't know, man. I hope B-Rob, I hope that he knows from all of us as fans how much we love and respect and appreciate all he did for the 5 years he stayed with us. He could have transferred, and I hope he knows that we all love him and appreciate him, and we all feel for him. And many of us think it was just not right. It was almost an injustice for him not to continue to get the ball in that third quarter when he was eating like a dog, you know. Anyway, as far as the transfer portal, I guess this is the day and age in which we're living now, right, Stephen M. And it works out good for us, I guess. And but you know, the thing I hate about it is that I'm old school. I'm a traditionalist. I would have loved to watch Jameson Williams play for 3 years. You know, I would love to just see guys stay 3 and 4 years. That's what college football has always been about to me. But I guess that's just you know, you gotta roll with the changes, right? Like REO Speedwagon's famous song, you gotta roll with the changes, you know, and the tide's gonna keep on rolling. Transfer portal, NIL, whatever else changes, the GOAT remains the same, the Bama tradition remains the same, and so I gotta be positive and just get used to it. But those are just some of my thoughts this evening from Jackson, Mississippi. God bless you what you do, brother, and I'll check in with you Wednesday or Friday. Roll Tide.
Appreciate Todd, man, for checking in there. Brian Robinson knows he's loved. Brian Robinson knows how much the Tide Nation appreciates him. And I know it looked frustrating in that national championship game after he was starting to get going there in that third quarter and the ball is pulled out of his hands. I know how frustrating that was for him. I know how tough that was for him. But what I also know is he had a season this past year where he made himself a whole lot of value when it comes down to the upcoming NFL draft here in April. There is going to be a team in that second round that is going to get somebody that they're going to really value because B-Rob brings the whole package to the table. He's a tough runner. He ran with a bit more speed this year, ran with a bit more balance this year, ran with a bit more cutback ability this year. Strong pass blocker, improved his skill set as a receiver out the backfield. So even though in some spots in 2021, he could have gotten the ball more, arguably should have gotten the ball more. When he got the ball, he made the utmost of those opportunities. And that's what those NFL scouts, those NFL coaches, owners, GMs, draft evaluators, that's what they're looking at. So to me, I still feel like he made big value for himself this past season. My man Grown D with that $4.99 in the Super Chats. Appreciate the love there coming from Grown D, helping us out here on the show. 205-448-1358. Number to call in to let your voice be heard. 205-448-1358. We switch here to this topic, in which this one goes to Jalen Waddle, a former Alabama wide receiver in the NFL with the Miami Dolphins. And at 23 years of age, Waddle was already a young legend in terms of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So check this out. Canton, Ohio, Pro Football Hall of Fame. They have the jersey that Waddle wore in the game against New England, where he set the NFL all-time rookie record for receptions in a season. Waddle surpassed the mark held by Anquan Boldin 2003 with the Cardinals, and that was 101 catches. Waddle with 104 on the season. He finished 8th among all receivers in the receptions category. So for Waddle at 23 to already have his jersey in Pro Football Hall of Fame, honored right there, Canton, Ohio, for being the all-time leader in receptions by a rookie for a single season, that's pretty epic. And here's a young man that has his eyes set on one day being enshrined in the Hall of Fame as a legendary player. So he is on his way with this latest accomplishment, achievement, recognition. He is also a finalist for NFL Pepsi Rookie of the Year. He is up there with Mac Jones, Najee Harris, among some other guys. But we go to a break here, folks. Don't touch that dial, because when we return, we get into some Jalen Milroe talk. This is a big spring for Milroe when it comes to that quarterback position, and I will break down why that is after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
All right, folks, we're rocking and rolling, baby, from the break. Number one form, number one ticket for your Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciate everybody for checking us out today, making this your show, your network, your channel, your platform, your space to talk Alabama football. And before we get into final topic of conversation, got to remind you of TDAwear.com. That's TDAwear.com. We got you covered right here. All of your shirts, all of your shirts, hoodies, pants, joggers, all types of gear, not only supporting the Alabama Crimson Tide, but supporting your number one brand, putting out the information on your Crimson Tide. TDAwear.com. We got you all clothing, all seasons. We suiting all taste for you, the fan. You go to TDAwear.com. That is TDAwear.com. And you check out all of the gear right there. Show them that support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. But this spring, one of the most exciting conversations will be at the backup quarterback spot. Who will be the primary backup for one Bryce Young? And it's exciting because, like I've mentioned before, everybody gets enamored in spring ball with who's the backup quarterback, right? You kind of already have an expectation of what the starter's going to do, what the starter's going to accomplish, but everybody has their eye, okay, who's the backup? Who's the backup? Who's going to wow us? Who's going to impress us behind the individual that is the starter? And for me, this is a big spring for Jalen Milroe. This is a huge spring for him. 4-star out of Texas, a guy that dual threat quarterback, came in the 2021 class. A lot of ability at 6'2", big size, big strength, big athleticism, really good quickness. Did throw his first career touchdown pass against Southern Miss last year at Bryant-Denny Stadium, 2-1. Javon Baker, who's now at Kentucky. But this is a big spring for Milroe. And I remember when he came in, getting a chance to talk to his coach, Coach McVay, Todd McVay. He spoke on Jalen does a really good job sitting in that pocket and scanning the field. He's a dual threat quarterback. He will pull the ball down. He will run. But he prefers to sit in that pocket, scan the field, survey the options, work through each progression, and be accurate throwing the football. That's what he prides himself on. This is what he wants to be able to show he can do consistently on a daily basis. And then we all saw the videos of him in the off-season summer program, squatting weights, throwing that weight around, moving that weight around, showing that type of physical strength there in the weight room. And seeing just that type of ability, it's going to be fun to watch him this spring. How much growth has he made? How much maturation has he done in terms of being that, not just the all-around leader on the field, but also where the playbook is concerned, how much more of the playbook has he gotten down? How much more of the system has he gotten down? This is going to be fun to watch because, to me, I look at this as Milroe is sort of the middle child, if you will. For all my people out there that have families, 3 children, you always know what the oldest is going to do. You expect the most out of your oldest. You expect your oldest to set the thing in motion, lay down the law, provide that example for the younger siblings. And then you've got the baby of the family. Everybody's excited about the baby. They're oohing and ahhing about the baby, and they're coddling the baby, and they're caring about the baby. And it's always that child in the middle that has a point to prove. It's always that child in the middle kind of having a chip on its shoulder. It's always that child in the middle that's like, what do I got to do to earn the attention, of mom and dad here? And this is kind of what it looks like in the quarterback room for Alabama in terms of, for Bryce Young, junior now. For Bryce Young, second-year starter. Everybody knows what to expect from Bryce Young. You're expecting big plays. You're expecting accurate quarterback. You're expecting, strong numbers. You're expecting protect the football. You're expecting, a little bit more running this time around. But being a reigning Heisman Trophy winner, reigning SEC champion, reigning Davey O'Brien quarterback award, just all of the accolades that he received, and he's the reigning winner of all of these. The main 2 things that are next on Young's plate: number 1, winning the national championship as a starting quarterback, and then number 2, positioning himself to be potentially the number 1 overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft. So everybody has the expectation for Bryce Young. And then with Ty Simpson as the freshman, people are like, oh, wow, I saw this guy at high school in Tennessee, and he was making all these throws, and I'm watching all the highlight films, and I'm watching all the tape, and I'm watching what he was able to do, taking his team to win a Tennessee Class 2A state championship and being the Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Tennessee, and I'm just really excited to watch what Ty Simpson does on the field. So you got people wowing about Ty Simpson. You got people knowing what to expect from Bryce Young. Here is Jalen Milroe in the middle with a chip on his shoulder. Here is Jalen Milroe in the middle with a point to prove. Here is Jalen Milroe in the middle with an opportunity to really capture the stage of Bryant-Denny Stadium this spring in April for the A-Day game. I mean, here is his shot. Here is his moment, because he's going to be battling Ty Simpson for that primary backup job. They're going pound for pound. They're going toe-to-toe here. And if Milroe can find a way here to pull this out and be the guy, be the primary number 2 guy behind Bryce to get into games, get into the action, get into some duty out there on the field, throwing the football, running the football, operating, orchestrating the offense, that's going to be really, really, really good for him because he's got the talent. He's got the potential. He has the tools. He's got the skill set to go out there on the field and make some things happen. It's just going to be fun to see where is he on the field this spring in terms of how much has he grown since this past season. I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to watching Jalen Milroe because when he came in the 2021 class, everybody was like, look at Milroe, watch Milroe, don't sleep on Milroe, don't count out Milroe, here comes Milroe, here comes Jalen, here we go. And now the attention is, well, look at Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson's coming here. Ty Simpson, 5-star. Ty Simpson, Tennessee. Here comes this guy. He can make all these plays. He can make these throws. It's going to be fun to watch him this spring. I'm going to keep my eyes here on number 2, Milroe, second year. Big spring, big opportunity to show what he can do out there in the field in front of the fans at Bryant-Denny. But as always, Tide Nation, you want the best in news, notes, information, and coverage on your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. You can get this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple. Google Play Store if you got the Android phone. For your audio listening needs, we got you covered right here, iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, or iHeartRadio. As always, Bama fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link will be found in the description. If you're trying to get the fresh edition, print edition of TDA, the magazine, you go to touchdownalabama.com. You click join, become a member, a subscriber today. That link in the description too. Also, if you're trying to get the 4-finger bling necklace, 4-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of our guys at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. That's WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. That link in the description as well. Guys, shout out my man Patrick P. Money Dowd, breaking news reporter for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, helping us out here on today's show. Also, my man Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, helping us out as well. Until next time, folks, husbands love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands. Children, you guys continue doing the right thing, fun thing, smart thing, good thing, legitimate thing to not be bored. You be sure to pick you up those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. You protect yourself, you protect the loved ones around you. Until next time, folks, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith. You've been listening to In My Own Words.